Joining us now from SumerSports, the NFL analyst for SumerSports, Shawn Syed, who is probably the biggest Fangio supporter on the continental United States. Shawn, would you agree to that?
Look, I'm not mad at that. If that's my moniker that I have to go by, you could be called worse things than that.
Yeah. So you like you as an X's and O's and tape guy, we know that Fangio is good because the defense is good. You know that Fangio is good because of why he's actually good. What is it about his schemes or the decisions he makes? What makes Fangio Fangio?
I think there's layers to it where Vic has, I think, been ahead of the curve for just years and years and years. So, like, you go back to 2018, you go even further back than that. You go to his 49ers days where you're one of the earlier adopters of, like, a too high and rotate kind of defense. Let me make things harder for a quarterback. But I think it's easier to point to, like, think of his kind of disciples in different places where they're not able to have success. And you look at it and it's like, oh, well, the defensive structure is really the same. But it's like, oh, Vic, like, has his finger on the pulse. I think we sometimes on the outside think about halftime adjustments, and we know that's not real, right? It's got to be on a play-to-play type basis. And he just absolutely still has his fastball, which kind of made me like, oh man, like I know he's thinking about retirement. He probably thinks about retirement every day, but like he can just see the game, I think, so well, where he knows exactly when. Okay, now we bump Zach Bond to the edge. Okay, now we give Adoree Jackson a little bit of help. So it's been really cool to watch his defense with the Philadelphia Eagles team that like. It's good players. It's a good system. It's a good defensive coordinator altogether.
Yeah, when you have some of these coaches that are the brightest minds of the game right now, just speaking of Kyle Shanahan in particular, who certainly seems to be in awe of Coach Fangio when he speaks about him in great reference. Man, you just know that Coach Fangio has seen just about everything. You like there's going to be rarely anything new you can show him that he doesn't have some sort of adjustment for.
Absolutely. I mean, he's been around for so long. He's gotten to see the NFL change in so many ways, and a lot of what he has done has stayed the same in different parts. But I love that it's adjusted to who he has on his team. It looked a little bit different with the Dolphins. It's going to look a little bit different when you have different sort of guys like Zach Bond is the big piece. We saw how different it looked kind of last year compared to kind of what Fangio usually does. So it's been so cool, and I think because of that, like it feels like okay. Vic gets a lot of deference here in terms of, like, he's going to take a little bit to think about if he wants to come back. I think it was reported today that he's thinking about it a little bit less, that he's more likely than not to come back. So you don't leave that room open for a lot of people, but I think he's one that you do.
You mentioned adjustments. I thought it was the neatest thing for me with Fangio is this Eagles defense this year, I don't think was as talented as last year. They didn't have as much on the edge. The CB2, you mentioned Adoree Jackson, even at safety, they were a little thin, and somehow by the end of the year, they had whipped into form in that they still were able to carry the team all year.
Yeah, I think it's so important when I watch it and say, like, if I've looked at, like, the years and years of Fangio defenses, what's different about this one than the last one? To me, it felt like, he said, okay, I have Quinyon Mitchell, who is a dominant cornerback, and to the other side of the field, I feel a little bit less. So I'm going to have Quinyon Mitchell on that kind of more condensed, that shorter side in that boundary to take away, a dominant receiver. I felt like it really showed up against the Packers this season. And so I'm going to put Adoree Jackson on that wider side of the field, make that throw a little bit longer. It's really cool because that's just not something that Fangio does. Like, that is not something he's done historically. That's like, I'd be curious, is that what you're going to do next year? So it's really cool to see, well, what are these little kind of differences? And, like, these play callers, to me, like, they tell us what they think about their players and their everything based on what they're running. So for him to see that, for him to be like, I'm going to really kind of weaponize who I have in Quinyon Mitchell, that was really cool to see.
So one of the names that was mentioned is a guy, if Fangio were to leave, a guy that has been here is Jim Schwartz. What do you think, if Fangio were to leave and that were to be a replacement, how suitable a replacement do you think Jim Schwartz is for Vic Fangio?
Yeah, I think people will initially say, like, oh, well, the Fangio defense is in this kind of 3-4 world. The Schwartz is more of like a 4-down, like an attacking mode. I get that. I think that the Eagles defense is rare in that I think they would fit a lot of it. Now, Schwartz wants to play probably a little bit more in your face, a little bit more man coverage. You're going to have your defensive line just go take the quarterback's head off. Like, I think Jalen Carter would be he would maybe benefit from having a little bit more of that kind of a style type look. But I don't know, like, I feel like Quinyon can play man on the outside. I think Cooper DeJean is more than comfortable playing man on the outside, or outside and maybe even more on the inside just with Schwartz. So I think of it as Schwartz is a really competent defensive coordinator that has had top-end defenses over and over. And so while it's not a one-to-one from Fangio to Schwartz, I think you can draw lines and say, all right, well, like you have the players in multiple spots. Yes, like life is going to be harder. I'm not sure how much you would be able to survive with just like a real hole at TB2 over there. Like I think what Schwartz is able to do with the Browns, a lot of that's been because you feel so comfortable about your coverage guys. So, you might have to bring in a little bit of a different look, and it's going to be a different feel overall, but you could definitely do worse than a Jim Schwartz.
Yeah, the one thing I always used to say about Jim Schwartz is he's a professional defensive coordinator. Like he knows what he's doing. You give him some looks, he knows how to make adjustments. He knows how to hide certain guys in his defense that he may feel like is a weak spot. He may not overwhelm you with a lot of different complexities and blitzes and things of that nature, but he's a professional defensive coordinator.
Absolutely. And like going from Vic to Schwartz, I wonder how the press conferences would be different if Schwartz is, he's got a fire in his belly for sure. So it could be fun. But hey, we don't have to kick Vic out yet, right? Like now because I've heard it all, I feel like all right, well we'll assume that next year that he'll probably retire. But he can watch the Phillies for a bit. Let's let him relax. He'll come back. He'll have the energy.
Yeah, if the Phillies do something, then maybe he doesn't want to relax.
Maybe
he doesn't want to retire.
Yeah.
Maybe
come on.
Free agents, maybe he wouldn't have wanted to retire.
Yeah, come on, Jack.
Leave him out of this.
Yeah. So, Sean, I know you have a limited time here, but the Sean Mannion hire, now it's hard to have, I would imagine for you, to have a huge opinion on it, given that he has not called plays anywhere. But given what his influences are and what you know, what do you think of the Mannion fit for the Eagles?
Yeah, the first thing I did was look at just like the Shrine Bowl footage where it's like, yeah, it's the Shrine Bowl. I get it. It's not like he's installing the offense. But like you look at all the practice tape, you look at the different drills, like he is installing like what he's comfortable with, familiar with, which of course is that Packer style of offense. It's the under center. It's that our starting point is that outside zone. We're going to build off it with play action. We're going to attack the middle of the field. We're going to have this different style of passing than we see with the Eagles, where it's like it's more of that 1 to 2 to 3. You like your eyes and your feet are really tied together. So it feels like I like that swing, right? Like when I think about you wanted to probably have Mike McDaniel at the start of it, you don't get that. Like I like where it ended, and I like that you bring in Josh Grizzard because to me that signals okay, like this is not a person from Sirianni's tree, like. If you're bringing in someone who is more familiar with like the lower parts of the Mike Shanahan tree, where Grizzard was previously with Liam Cohen, like that's the Ram side of it, right? So we're looking. The defense our offense should look different. I think we will know really early on if it's like, oh no, this is just a Frankenstein of the kind of Sirianni Hurts approach to it, and this kind of world for Mannion. So I'm excited for it. I need the games right now, guys. Like I need to see them right now. I need to film. I want to see it just because like. We're going to get answers. And, like, I know Jalen Hurts is capable of this. I know the offensive line is capable of doing it. I think that's how you kind of have to live a little bit just kind of to win in the modern NFL. So I'm really excited. I think it's of the landing spots. Now, look, no one knows how an offensive coordinator is going to be till they're actually calling the plays. So I'm always going to leave room open for that to just be a problem at different points. But I think it's the right swing to make at this point.
Well, and for pass game coordinator, you mentioned Grizzard, who was with the Bucs. Now, they were not nearly as good offensively as they were with Cohen. Now, his responsibilities here, he won't be calling the offense. I assume you see some value in him, even though the Bucs offense wasn't very good.
Yeah, I do, and I think about Grizzard 2 years back where he's the third down guy for Liam Cohen, and I mean, it was an awesome third down offense. I do think, though, a lot of that is that kind of Liam Cohen magic. But Grizzard is well-versed in what I have to assume that Mannion is going to want to install, that sort of like the Packers world coming from LaFleur. So to me, like if you have to have someone that really is speaking your language. So I'm fascinated to see who comes in as a quarterback coach. If it's, if LaFleur is a holdover or if Mannion's able to kind of bring in his own person, like that is just such an important role. So I do see value in Grizzard there. And as you mentioned, like, yeah, he had a year where, was his play calling, his sequencing, like a top percentile? Probably not, but he notably doesn't have to do that this season.
All right, Sean. Well, your analysis is always great, and SumerSports I've mentioned on the air before, and I say this with love. it is my nerd stats #1 spot. I love going to it. I think it's a great site. The Sumer Brain thing, the AI thing that you have on there has helped a lot as well. So great work, great site, and we appreciate your time.
Thanks so much. It was awesome talking to you guys. Appreciate it.
All right,
All right, there he is, Shawn Syed.